What's up, guys? It's a bright day, apparently, according to my cam. Uh, we're not late night streaming, we're middle of the day streaming here. So, um, we have The Realm issue 4, page 16. It's not a spoilery page, it's just, you know, it's just a regular, like, people talking kind of page. I'm gonna take off my headphones because I'm not listening to anything. So, yeah. So it's a pretty chill page. One of the things that like I still feel like I'm trying to problem solve is this stuff. Jeremy does these like hatching clouds that like I still just have no idea what to do with, and they actually are not on the previous page, so I can't like make them crazy. You know what I mean? Like they can't take all your attention because they need to go with the previous page. If the previous page is blankish in the sky, it's got to look semi-blank. So we're gonna try to problem solve that. Here are the flats we got, which are flats. Jeremy's black and white stuff is gray toned, as you can see. We're getting like a ton of, you know, just like not hard blacks, not hard lights. Very gray, kind of like textury stuff. Just to like kind of like slow down on my processor, kind of make it a little easier for my computer to deal with. I've been leveling. So, like, the levels show the high highs and the high lows. The first bump there on the left is, like, the darkest blacks, and the first bump here on the right is the lightest lights. So, I level it off a little bit, maybe a little bit more, even. And then, I threshold it. And now these are not the final lines that we're going to be using for print, but this is just like a little cheat so that my computer runs a little quicker when we're putting down a ton of textures and stuff like that. And then later we'll put in like these lines. See, there's a huge difference because like this stuff is a little bit gray back here, and then it like disappears, and that's not what we want. So we've preserved the regular line art. Jeremy, don't panic. And then we're gonna jump in. So first thing we're going to do with the flats is basically fix them. That's what you do. So like I said, this is the cover to number 2, and this is the page before it. So we got to match the page before it, but I also wanted to talk about how a lot of comics kind of have these quiet moments between action, so it's not, you know, action all the time kind of thing. I'm gonna move the mic. I hope you guys don't. It's not terribly loud. Yeah, so you know, there's these moments between action where it's quiet, and it can't be action all the time. Otherwise, you know, if we do that, then the action's never really like poignant. Oh my god, the flatter did an unspeakable thing. The lenses are the same color as the eyes. Does the flatter think that like this metal creature is Rook? I don't know. So yeah, we're just gonna try to fix this, get it kind of close to what it would look like in like a midday sun kind of thing. You know, we're not doing any kind of color theory or anything. We're just like, oh, you know, black cape. Rook has like basically like no discernible stuff going on. Like she's basically in all black all the time. He, I don't even know actually. Now that we're talking about it, I always in my mind was like, oh, Rook, she, but she might be a he. It might be an it. It is the realm. It might be an it. See, I'm not in the loop. They don't tell me things. They gotta tell me more things so that I can accidentally let them slip on stream. So yeah, we're just going in, kind of fixing the skin tones. And if you're curious, like, I'm kind of doing these like half steps. Like, so for example, like, I select the hair and I select this like this orange here, this like crazy ass orange, but like I don't go, oh, orange, done. I'm going like that, and it's like halfway between. I have these actions set up over here, which are like F13, 14, and 15, which are 20%. It's a fill, and then it's a fade to 20%, and then this one's a fill and a fade to 30%, and this one's a fill and a fade to 50%. And that just kind of streamlines the work. Not only does it streamline the work, and we're going to get into this. I'm going to do like a flatting tutorial kind of thing. Slow down a little bit, like let you see all the bells and whistles, everything that I'm doing. We're going to get into that. But for now, what this does is let me kind of like play with the color down there. Like, I can select like bright stuff but have it not actually be bright, you know, like if I need to mix colors together, like I can do that pretty easily by just you know, like that was 75%, so it's a little dull of an orange rather than a full-on orange. Yeah, so you want to keep it kind of like noonday sun. We're kind of... Ooh. Could you guys hear that? It got spooky in here. It's a windy day today. It's October. It's spooky. Get into it. Speaking of getting into it, you guys, the amount of love that I received on my Twitter for the Spider-Man 2099, you guys and girls, you guys treat me all right. And if you dig that, you should follow the stream. Just take your cursor, just a light caress on that follow button. That's all you need. Don't gotta smash it. Just be gentle out there. Be good to each other. Be good to that follow button. I guess. So Flatter doesn't understand that clearly this is a beak and a very popular character now, so I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe do they get the realm in South Korea? I don't know. Do they? Did we put it out in Korean? It's got to be like, if we did, I don't think, did it come out? Nobody tells me these things. Is the realm in South Korean? I have no idea. All right, so we're putting that beak in, getting that beak wet. And we're just, you know, prepping it. So the realm, we're gonna get into actual doing color, and the reason, I'll tell you the reasons that I made the choices on the previous page, and the reason we're gonna make the similar choices on this page. So there is a little bit of a spoiler in the page before it, but the page before it also kind of like takes place like semi close to what's going on with this crew. So I wanted to kind of keep it similar but different. Obviously I'm not going to show you that page because it's got spoilers. We want to keep this stream spoiler free. But the realm is a dead post-apocalyptic shitstorm of a world, so let's roll with it. It's going to be very, very autumn. Like, things are dead. Things are dead. So that was the goal with this page. Like, let's make it feel like the world has, like, kind of died a little bit. You know, we got, like, you know, red trees in the back. You know, maybe they're losing their leaves. Maybe it is autumn. I don't know. Could be. But either way, it's they're in for a terrible time, you know, in the treacheries of the world. All right, so we kind of got it to a place where we're ready to get in, but I'm going to take the whole thing, deselect the background, and there's, you know, it's mostly characters we're playing with right now. So this is a new thing I've been doing. I've been putting them on an alpha channel. We still got these little chunks. We forgot the chunks. So this is a new thing I've been doing lately. Like I said, put them in an alpha channel. And just like, those are the characters. And now we're going to get into like, they need to be washed with like an orange. Which is good because a lot of them are on this page very cool tones. Like if we go back, like Rook is basically all cool tones, and when we wash with an orange, she like warms up a little but like turns grayer, which is actually kind of like where the realm wants to be. We're probably gonna dull this guy just a little bit. It's a little bright. Yeah, dull the pants just a little bit. Yeah, we're keeping it dull, but here's the challenge. The challenge is, like, even though it's dull and the world has to be kind of this desaturated thing, we also have to make it interesting. So how do we do that? The way to keep it interesting is through the rendering and like high points in the art, like shines and like, you know, that kind of thing. So let's go back to our alpha channel, select the whole thing, deselect the black. Boom, we got all the line art. So let me move the mic just a little bit. Apologize if it makes a ton of noise, but I am going to put this guy into my lap. There we go. Alright, so let's lasso. This is the first thing I do with every page is I'll wash the whole thing with a color. And the reason that I do that, let me settle in here. The reason that I do that, what'd you miss? All of Comic Book Secrets. I'm sorry you missed them. Maybe you can tune in on the VOD before Comic Book Secret Police come to my house and shut it all down. So the reason to do a wash before you start is because you're kind of painting the light in the room, essentially. It's like everybody kind of has, you know, regular skin tones and everything, but then, you know, if you shine a blue light on them, you want that blue to be reflected in the skin tones. So it's like, oh, well, wash the whole thing with the blue. It's that kind of idea. You're painting the light, or you're picking the color for the light. So now we're just going to get in there and figure out what we're doing for the rendering. And this is kind of the most important part for a page like this. So we're gonna get into it. And everything's kind of used in the realm. So even though we're making these like nice clean selections, we're gonna be going through and just kind of like grunging them up. Because everything's like dinged up in the world of the realm. Everything is used. Everything is secondhand. So I was gonna stream some Last of Us, but then people started shooting at each other again in America, and it kind of made me lose the taste for shooting at stuff. I was thinking about maybe pinball or maybe some Elder Scrolls Legends card game one of these days. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I shouldn't even do any games. I'm still kind of trying to figure out like what the channel should be, you know? If you guys have any suggestions of games that I should play that are not Cuphead, you can let me know. Because I don't know, I Cuphead looks fine, but it looks like not my game. I also fear and respect the fact that it's been like 2 months or a month and a half since like I played some of that Last of Us, and I was already kind of struggling with the controls, and now I'm at a hard part and I'm like, shit, man, I don't know if I want to go back to that. I like, this is kind of like how I play video games now, is like I play them to a point where I'm like, all right, I like, if I'm not having fun anymore, I don't know, maybe I'll just stop, but maybe I should persevere. I don't know. We'll see. I am getting kind of sucked into Elder Scrolls Online, or Elder Scrolls Legends, the card game, right now. The reason is because I can play it on my phone anywhere at any time, so it makes for a good game on the go. So her whole like kind of poncho thing that she's got going on over here, we started doing it when I started in this thing. I made it kind of like camouflaged in the first couple of issues, and then I changed it, and I think that I'm going to change it every once in a while. Like I think that I want to keep the world kind of fresh, so that it's not like, oh, she's got a uniform. Like, Rook's probably always going to stay the same, but I thought it'd be interesting if, like, when they get downtime, when they camp or whatever, like, she might change to a different poncho that's, like, a different, like, tactical kind of thing. Like, the orange kind of worked well in the city, I feel like. Like, because she wanted to be seen and she wanted to fire back, essentially. But maybe in like more stealthy kind of stuff, it'd be like a green or like a gray or like something like that. So I'm thinking about it lately, but for right now, I just kind of like pulled the camo pattern out. I don't know. Maybe we'll add the camo pattern in a different color. Maybe. This is like a new day. They've like camped for the night and now they're on their way again. So she might be able to change it up. So here's the thing about like where you want to think about like where you want focus. So like I want you as the viewer to look here, and then I want you to look here, but like kind of like that direction. So like rendering her pants down here like isn't really going to be helpful, so we're just going to like do it really fast. It doesn't really matter. Do like one cut on the bow, done deal, and then move on to this stuff. Yeah, so like the more detail and the more kind of like value you put into an area, it's going to draw your eye. And like a lot of comic book coloring, the value will just be like kind of all over the place or all the same, like, and that's not what you want. Like when that kind of stuff happens, you get like a very confusing image to the viewer, especially if like characters are overlapping like they are right here. Like, so we have a situation down here where like so she's got her bag, and then her gloves are gray, and then Rook's cape is gray, and then like or I guess cloak. Is that a cloak? Is that a cape? I don't know. Look, I went to art school for comics, not for fashion. So yeah, you don't want this to like fold in on top of this, and that's going to be a challenge when we start to like break down like what's going on. Um, and we'll solve it. We'll solve it. I'm aware. We'll get there. Um, I'm not sure exactly how much of this page we're gonna stream. There's a lot of stuff that I do at the end of the realm where I like go through and kind of like add a layer of texture over the whole thing. And obviously, since I do that at the end for like the whole book, we aren't going to tackle that right now. So this whatever situation we end up at the end of this is not going to actually be the final page. And we'll post at least like a panel up on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. Let people know that we're working. We're out here hustling. You and me, chat. We're hustling. Don't make it weird. I've been wanting to get a writer on stream with me because I've been thinking a lot about how writers think about pages, how artists think about pages in relation to color, if they do at all, you know. I think that the more jobs that you do in comics, like the more different hats that you put on, especially when you're starting, the better you'll understand like how everything all works. You know, does that make sense? Like, you will draw differently if you try coloring some pages. You will write differently if you think about scene transitions, if you're drawing pages. You know, like, you will write differently if you try to like cram friggin' 18 panels on a page. You're not going to write that anymore if you try to draw it. Hey Ninja. Yeah, so I think that there's a good conversation to have with like writers about color and about how much they think about it. And like every book that I've ever worked on that has been I considered like artistically successful has had like rules that go along with it, like like Powers, for example. I started working on Powers very early in my career, relatively to where we are now, and I think some of those pages still hold up, and I think it's because when I jumped in, Bendis was like, okay, Powers is this thing, and you have to do this thing. Like, you can't be off the rails. And so I was like, yeah, all right, you know, it's your book. I'm excited about it. Let's do this thing. You know better than me. You're Bendis. So, especially at the time, I was like nobody. So I was like, yeah, okay, sure. I'm not going to fight you on that. It's his book anyway, you know? But because of that, I feel like some of that stuff holds up way better than like the other stuff I was doing, because I was just like, especially when I'm starting, I'm like, I need all the tools. I can't fucking figure this out. I gotta stumble through it, you know, like, I can't, like, you know, say I'm not going to use this because I need everything, because I'm experimenting with everything kind of thing. Which is fine, you know, like, a lot of new people do that. But, like, the second you start to think about color and, like, okay, like, I know this is going to happen later on in the series, and it's going to look like this, so let's prep that by making all the other issues not have those colors, so that when this happens, it's like an oh shit moment, you know? Like, you can add the exclamation point with color. Or with Powers, it's kind of like, well, you know, we're world building. What does the world look like? What does Powers look like? You know, it's easy to be like, hey, just, you know, color the thing, make it look good, we're done. But, like, you know, Cave has a specific kind of like style and look and approach, and the Realm has a very different style and look and approach, and so does Powers. for example. And I think that thinking about that before you start is good. It's good for everybody involved. And I wonder how much the writers actually think about these things too. You know, or if they're just like, I don't know, do whatever you want, and then like it's up to the, you know, pencilers and inkers. There's probably not like a set thing. It's probably like, you know, this project worked out this way and this project worked out this way, and you know, everybody's kind of doing their own thing, figuring out what works for them. But yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot lately because Inktober is here, and I was entertaining the idea of maybe inking some stuff, but then I realized that I have not drawn a lot in the past couple of years, and maybe inking some stuff is not where we want to be. But if you're trying to color, if you're like starting in on coloring, Inktober is fantastic, because like, if you're following people on Twitter, which, by the way, if you're a comic fan and you're not on Twitter, you should get on Twitter, because, like, everybody's talking about comics all the time on there, and your favorite artists are posting stuff all the time. They're posting sketches, they're posting finished work, they're posting, like, links for stuff, if you want to, like, buy books, if you want to buy art, you know, like, it's a good way to, like, just casually interact with people. It's like one big text-only Comic-Con in a weird way. So you should get on Twitter if you're a comic fan. And you should follow me, too. Right down there. Right down there. Nickfil. But at any rate, if you're an aspiring colorist, right now is Inktober, and everybody is making these beautiful black and white sketches or designs or color or whatever, and it is like a hunting ground. Like, you can just scoop up images to practice on like crazy, you know? And they might be like stuff that is single image, which I would not say to take to a convention and like try to get jobs with, but for just practice, can't beat it. We're going to be doing a piece by my buddy Tony Moy. He also has a Twitch stream, which is pretty cool. He does a lot of watercolor stuff, but since it's Inktober, he did this like black and white thing, and we're gonna actually do that on stream, from start to finish. It's like a kind of a simple like headshot with armor and stuff. So it is, man, it is spooky in here. You guys hear that? I don't know if that's picking up on the mic. The wind is howling on a day just like this, because it is a day just like it's now. Shit. At any rate, we're gonna be breaking down how to flat with that image, because that image is just like a headshot and a pillar behind him and some armor, and so there's not a lot as far as like separating planes or anything like that. Like, there's not a lot going on, so it's gonna be easy to flat. It's gonna be like 4 colors, and then we're gonna get in and as far as like painting it. So here's kind of something interesting. Usually when Rook is around, we get like a 3/4 shot, but here we're getting like most of Rook's helmet. So how are we gonna render this? We can slow down for a second, think about it. I want to kind of, it's midday, so I kind of want to do like top down, you know, like kind of thing. So what does that look like? I mean, maybe it looks like kind of like maybe this doesn't get shaded. Kind of thing, like maybe it goes like that. So that way it kind of gives her the helmet kind of like an illusion of like the metal like sculpting around the head. But I don't know, it might be too much. When we get into like doing the finer details on this piece, we can end up toying with it a little bit, figuring out exactly what we want to do. Nothing we're doing here is like final, you know. So like I was saying, this page is a little bit simpler, but you got to make these pages sing in comics too, as much as you make the big bombastic pages. This stuff has to work just as well and be just as interesting, if not more interesting, because you want to be able to hold the reader's attention through something like this. So we're gonna try to hold the reader's attention with interesting dynamic lighting, and hopefully Rook's helmet will be part of that. So you can't really tell what's going on right there. You will when we get to when we start like filling it in. We're almost there. We're on the last panel. Hang tight, dear viewer. And we're gonna kind of like almost silhouette this guy. Like I know that it would not normally look like this if it was like lit real life kind of thing, but like we can kind of say fuck that shit and just kind of make our own lighting, because you know the most important thing is that it's readable and it's pretty. So by making like that, I think that's all I'm going to do is like that cut in the top. By making it mostly in shadow, she's going to pull forward and the kid's going to pull backward. So it's going to create a little bit more depth between the two characters. Now we just got to get this hair out of the way. We're going to be doing a New York Comic-Con refugee stream for anyone who's not at New York Comic-Con. Probably later this week. I know that a ton of people are going to New York Comic-Con. My buddy Larry Watts is going. You should check out what he's doing. My buddy Brent Schoonover that we did Howling Commandos of S.H.I.E.L.D. with. He's gonna be there. He just posted up a crazy sketch of Mr. Miracle, and if you're looking for stuff to practice on, you can't do worse. Let me tell you, that sketch looked awesome. I don't know who's buying that sketch, but whoever commissioned it, they got their money's worth for sure. So. We're streaming a little bit earlier than we normally do. Normally we start streaming about now, but we've already been going for like 38 minutes. That's fine. And this was kind of a surprise one. I didn't even think I was going to stream today when I got up, but I was like, you know what? We're cracking down on these pages. We might as well stream one, you know. So we kind of have our selection for our shadows, and we go back to this is our alpha channel where it's like all the characters are kind of like, you know, done deal. So this is what the shadows are going to look like. This is where we're at, and the shadows on Rook are looking kind of weird here. So we might go in and fix that, but everything else is looking pretty solid. Like I said, the one problem area is going to be right here. The hands, the gray hands against the gray cape. We're going to try to push him back a little bit in space on this image too. So let's get to it. The realm is a lot of it is about opposites on the color wheel. It creates this kind of like, especially red and green, creates this kind of like rusty kind of thing look to the book that I really like. And this page is no exception. Since we went warm for the wash with an orange, we're gonna do a cooler gunmetal gray wash for the shadows. And now the cool thing about this is like now we can actually go in and if we wanted to be like, oh shit, you know what, we're gonna bring up the highlights even more. We can just take it and then be like, all right, let's wash with let's fill it with yellow, and then like, oh, we're on the black layer. Here we go. Fill it with yellow, and then like screen it, and then like, you know, like whatever we need to do, we can do. And it's the same with the and we're not gonna do that, but same with the shadows. Like we're like, oh well, you know, the gunmetal gray was like pretty good, but we can push it a little bit, like add a little bit of blue in there to like the whole page, boom, done, you know. And we might actually do a little bit of blue in there, but not quite yet. What we want to do before we start doing any of that is the skin tones are going to need to be tweaked. They need to warm up because otherwise people look like zombies. This is not where we want to be. And we also want to start matching the colors on this page. So let's start doing that. Man, I don't know if it's picking up on the mic, but my house sounds haunted right now. The blinds are moving around out there. It's whistling over here. It's like, yeah, my house sounds haunted. I'm really surprised that my dog isn't freaking out, thinking that we're under attack. So yeah, we want to kind of match what's going on over here. I mean, it's not as important that we match her because she's like barely featured on this page. She's down here just like a little bit. Yeah, so we're gonna actually kind of just do whatever we want. That sounds good, right? Just doing whatever we want. Alright, I'm gonna pants a little bit. So like I said before, I want you looking up here, not down here. So we're making it less highs and lows. We're doing hey Kate. Yeah, we're doing less high and low kind of stuff. We're doing to direct the focus. Like if we take, and we're probably gonna, this is gonna be like a good place to start with this. We take this same color that we got here. Set grad to screen, and then just like pull it through. It's 50% right now. We'll do 100%. So like that is gonna make us like kind of stick. Like visually, we're gonna stick at the top of her head rather than the bottom. And we can even take the shadow and kind of do it. Well, we gotta deselect over here. Do the opposite by like kind of blending it in. So now we're really like pegging you up here visually, because like down here kind of all looks the same, but up here is like high contrast, so that'll direct attention. And we can kind of, just so that it's not like immersion breaking, kind of do the same thing here. A lot of the realm starts in a very like, I make all the cuts, then I make all the grads that I want to do to kind of make it look a little more modeled, and then I'll go in and kind of do the custom like painting and that kind of thing where we need it. This didn't work. Welp. Maybe it'll be more in the highlights than in the shadows for Rook over here. I like this. This worked well, even though it's like kind of doesn't make any sense with like they're in the middle of a field and she's in darkness kind of thing. Hail Scott Campbell. Even though it doesn't make any sense in the context of like where they are, the context of the panel makes it make sense, and that's the most important thing. Like the readability panel to panel is important. Understanding the emotion of each panel is important. Like that stuff is the most important thing for comics, and trying to get like all the lighting perfect is not. It's like it's good when it works. When it works, it's great, but like it's not necessarily something that needs to happen every time. At the end of the day, people just want good comics, and you want to be able to give it to them. So we're just kind of throwing a grad through the helmet. We'll put a grad through the skin. Kind of figure out what we're doing over here. Make the cut a little less harsh. We're actually going to put a highlight because the people of color, their skin tones behave a little differently than white people. White people, you want to kind of like put more dark into it for the skin tone. With people of color, you want to kind of like put highlights. Highlights are king. And I think that's how they light it for film too, actually, is they try to you know, bring up highlights on people of color. So here's the thing. So this is starting to come together, but like this kind of has a texture all its own. Like this is the cover for number 2, like I said before. It's got this like vinyl-y, plasticky Hail Scott Campbell. I am correct, refilm lighting. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, like, I don't know anything about film, but I'm like, if I was gonna light film, that's what I would do. Yeah, so she's gonna need like hard highlights, and usually I don't have to deal with this shit. Usually Jeremy has her like lurking in the background or covered in her cloak or whatever, but on this particular panel, on this particular day, she is we're gonna have to do all these like crazy ass hard highlights and stuff. So we're gonna take and just put like a darker grad through the whole thing. This stuff is gonna be a pain in the ass to paint. So I think what we're gonna do is, for the rest of the stream, because we've already been going for like 48 minutes now, we're gonna do these 2 panels and then leave these 2 panels to do another day. Actually, we might just do this panel. Let's save from here. So when I jump into what I'm doing with a page, like I kind of tackle the whole page at first, and we've finished that point. Like we've done everything that we can do that is going to be a mass, like we do this for the whole page kind of thing. And now we're going to get into like, okay, what does each individual panel need? Like anything, like, you know, doing a single drawing or a single painting or like anything in art, you go general to specific, big to small. So let's get involved. Let's go small. All right. I can move this guy in a little bit more. Let's go big to small. So let's handle her in the back first. We're going to use a little grungy brush that I always use for like everything because it just looks so damn good. The Dry Media Conte 2. And now we're just going to kind of like 50% paint in like a little bit of dust and debris, and we're gonna grab a highlight and kind of like drop that in. And it's like, you know, we did a lot of the work already. It's like we've done 6 brush strokes on this guy, and it looks good, you know? Like, don't work hard, work smart. And we're doing the same thing up here. Like, it's just kind of paint in what we need to paint in. Roll with what we got down there already. Maybe this kind of like it's a fake shadow, or I don't know, like a reflected light, and it's got other stuff going on here. We could do like a little bit down here, and this is just, I've just got the brush set to like 50%, and I'm just like, you know, grabbing colors from around it. And it's like grungy because the world is grungy and is turned to shit in the realm. We're post-apocalyptic, so we've started to kind of like make a exaggerate her silhouette a little bit, which is good because you want to like a readable silhouette. A readable silhouette is good for comics because if it is not a readable silhouette, then you're not gonna, it's gonna be hard to figure out what action is happening, what, you know, where characters begin and end, and that kind of thing. So we're kind of like playing on that. We're putting it in the shoulders, and we can kind of like highlight that. So yeah, like I said, we're just like kind of just going in and adding some highlights, adding some paint, making it grungy, making it have like a little bit of depth, you know. And the more, like, you know, we're getting to the bottom, which is, remember we threw the dark grad through, so now it's like, well, we don't really have to do a whole lot. Like, I took a giant brush and just kind of like went in and was like, whatever, because like if the high highs and the low lows are like really close together, and they look very similar, then you just kind of want to you go from like, I'm modeling light and shadow, to like, I'm just putting down texture by the end of it, you know. But when we were up here, we were like, okay, highlight, highlight, highlight. And when we're down here, we're like, okay, texture, done, you know. So you want to keep that in mind, like where you are within the piece. We're gonna put a little bit of highlight in the pack. Now we're dealing with this. This was the problem. To deal with that problem, what are we gonna do? All right, I think I know what we're gonna do. We are going to kind of grab this whole shape, and we are going to roll with keeping it dark. So in a normal day, like in a daytime setting, dark stuff will pull forward, light stuff will pull backwards, or push backwards. Recede into the distance is what I should say. At night, it's the opposite is true. Darker stuff will push backwards into the night, lighter stuff will come forward, but this is clearly daytime, so we're gonna mess with that. So by pushing that back, or by making that darker, we've like pushed it forward, which means like we can do like little highlights and stuff down here, and we can take her skin tone and put it down here as well. It doesn't have to be that bright, but like just a little bit, you know. Just like enough to make it readably separate is important. And like Jeremy has spot blacks down here too, and you know, he added like a little, if you look like in the inks, he added like a silhouette down here, like or not a silhouette, but just like a, I don't even know what to call it. It's like when you make text and then you put a stroke layer around it. That's kind of what's going on here. He's not making the blacks kind of touch. which he knows when he drew this, he was like, this area is going to be a problem. So let's try to help him out. And this is a common thing. Like, you got I'm getting sidetracked with specific details on something that is nobody's gonna see. So yeah, let's help him out. And this is a common thing that artists do. You pick up any comic book and you'll see, and you get really close to the page, and you'll see it. Everybody does it. So let's put like some highlights on the glove. To kind of make sure that this is very, even though it's a dark glove, we're gonna make sure that it is separate. And boom, there we go. Like, it looks visually separate. So we've achieved what we need to achieve. And she is like just about done. I kind of want to do a little more love and affection on her face, because that's where everybody's gonna look. Let's take like just a little shine, put it on her nose, put some on her lips, and then maybe like a small in that, yeah, like a little bit on her chin. Boom, she's all done. All right, yeah, that ended up looking good. The hole here in the cape is questionable, because it looks like it's like resting against her arm in the background, but I don't think we're gonna need to fill it with orange. We can try, like, we can just pop some orange in there, see how it looks. It doesn't look bad. It's like, I feel like it's 50-50. I don't know. Chat, I don't know. Leave a comment if filling in that that one hole in the cape with some orange ruined the whole comic book for you. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry that something like that could ruin the comic book for you. All right. We're not gonna fill it in. So let's get it down to a rook. Rook's kind of the focus of what's going on here, and we're gonna try to emulate what's going on over here. But if you notice, like on this cover, this is the JPEG, so it's like nasty, pixely, and I apologize for that. But I actually didn't want to pull any colors out of it, and sometimes to like mind hack myself to keep myself from doing that, I'll pull up the JPEG rather than the actual like high resolution TIFF, because I'll be like, oh, I'm not gonna pull colors out of this like jacked up JPEG, you know. We have the cape resting on her arm over here, so we're gonna kind of like amp that up by throwing a grad through it, highlighting the arm, and then we got to do like some reflected light. This is something that we didn't do in the overall thing. This is like kind of like a more specific kind of tone. It's hard to be thinking about when you do like the first cut in a thing. It's hard to think about like, okay, well, this is going to be the first cut and then this is going to be the second cut, so I got to remember to wash it with another color in the before it's like gets to be too much. You just want to keep your wits about you, chat. Stay smart. So like that looks all right. Maybe like we could even yeah, there we go. So and we're gonna grunge it up with the brush too, so but we're starting to get it into a good place. Let's work on the helmet, and then we will work on everything else. Now we're gonna actually redden up that. Yeah, make it a little more red, a little more red. And we did that for the whole page. I don't know if you could tell, but I think we did it for the whole page. Let's double check. Yeah, we did it for the whole page. So it's a little more red now rather than the whatever it was before. It was like a dull gray kind of thing. And that's the thing, like pops of color are kind of like where the realm lives. It's desaturated, but it's like deceptively not desaturated as well. It just depends on like where you are looking and what you're seeing. Like I like putting, especially if the environments are going to be like desaturated, pops of color on the characters, which is why a lot of people have like orange kind of scarves, especially people who are on the same team. And this is the thing with team books, and this is, for all intents and purposes, a team book. There's like a million fucking characters. Is that like if somebody is on a team and I have the chance to design the costumes and stuff, keeping the color, or at least like one color, kind of like the same through the team, gives a heads up to the reader, makes it more readable. You know, if there's a giant struggle with like, you know, 12 or 6 on 6 kind of thing, being able to be like, oh, the good guys are that guy, that guy, that guy, just like glancing at it because they have that one color, is worth it. It's good for the reader. Helps them out. So, like I said, everything is dingy in this world, so we are adding that dinge. Just like adding some shines, and we will get into the grays here. And this is just 50% normal with the Kyle Webster Conte brush. If you don't have Kyle Webster brushes, you should, and you're an aspiring colorist, you should pick them up because they're really great and they'll change up your game. They do a ton of stuff. There's a watercolor brush set, and I kind of want to like. Here's the thing about watercolors. So watercolors, the more you put down, the darker it gets. And the brushes that he made behave like that. So I kind of want to like try doing essentially like a digital watercolor night on something, on an image. But I think to do that, now if you've been watching the stream, you know, like I always work from flats. I show you how to flat. You know, I flat stuff myself. Like, we start with color on the page, and I think that if I was going to use the watercolor brushes in any meaningful way, I think the way to do it is to like not do that, is to like kind of change it up and just be like, okay, we're going to do, instead of flats, we're just going to start painting. Like, we're just going to start putting watercolor down and start very light and then get more and more dark as we go, and kind of just like paint, you know. I think you got to treat it. I think you got to treat his watercolor brushes like that. And I've always wanted to crack them like that, but like it doesn't work for comics. On like, hey, we're gonna do a 6-issue run. Do you want to watercolor the whole thing? It's like, nah, maybe not. Maybe not do 120 pages like that. But like, we could do like one thing on stream like that. That could be fun. There's a Danny Moonbeam, Starbeam, the X-Men, Native American, the Cherokee X-Men from the New Mutants. Somebody made a pretty good image, and Megan Hetrick colored the shit out of it. and I feel like I gotta earn my place. She also streams, by the way. You should Google Megan Hetrick. We worked on Red Thorn together, and I feel like I gotta rep. If she colors better than me, it looks bad. She putting me on notice. The back and side of the image of the helmet here are kind of weird, but we can get into that. I'm trying to figure out like the best way to shade it. Yeah, so that's kind of, the helmet's looking alright. We can kind of like add in a little bit of like nice straight up like this is chrome shiny stuff. You're alright, Ninja. You got enough cupcakes for everybody? Keep in mind, I will eat a dozen of them. So let's kind of put a little bit of shine on that, because yeah, now we're cooking. So we got shine, we got scuffs. It's like good to go. What I was talking about when I was saying like you want to keep the whole thing like visually interesting, we can go over here, add a screen layer, take like a red or an orange. So we're on a screen layer and just add like, that's too intense, but maybe like 50%. Yeah, see, like, so like this kind of thing, put it on the ear a little bit, on the eyes, like this kind of thing adds just a little bit of drama, like you're not hitting them over the head with it. You're not hitting them over the head with it. You're just like a little bit of drama, a little bit. You're keeping them reading. That's the goal. And like this panel is definitely about Rook, so. And also, by doing that, we're kind of successfully going, okay, we want to be here, then we want to be here. Like, this stuff is all kind of blending together, which is perfect. All this stuff blending together is fine. Like, this pops out enough to be separate, and then this pops, like, her nose, and then her, like, poncho, kind of pop out enough to be like, here's where you should be. And then visually, then you look up here and you're like, oh, okay, now we're up here. We're back to Rook. And it's so, when you read it left to right, that's what you're going to be looking at, which is the goal of the page. But enough about that. Let's get into the uncomfortable stuff that I was avoiding, and get into doing these shines. So these shines are like very weird in that they're gonna be very high highs against like almost darks. That's kind of how like that vinyl stuff is. So let's just kind of roll with that. I don't want to put like high highs all over the whole thing, because then it's gonna look fucking ridiculous. Like, it works for here because it's a cover and like it's blinging all over the place, you know. But yeah, it does not work. It does not work for a panel, because I want to be able to direct your eye through the page. And if she's, you know, blinging all over the place, then it's like, well, it's gonna like be tough to move on from that. Like, what I don't want is for you to go, you're looking here, you're looking here, you're looking here, and then you get down here, and then you go back up here. Like that's not, And if she's blinging all over the place, that's what's going to happen. So let's take this gray and screen, and we just draw it through the thing. So we're adding just a little bit of texture, a little bit of like color differences into the arm. Like not really like going crazy. We're working it up slowly, which is the goal. Slowly and carefully. And we'll do the same thing on the gloves, although we're not going to do the high highs that we were doing before on the gloves. Do a little secondary light back there. My dog is shaking it out. Okay, so we want to do this kind of stuff. And to be fair, it's drawn slightly differently on the cover than it is here. Jeremy used a lot more spot black over here, so let me try to get that done. Let's see what we got. Screen. See, I don't like the blue. Blue is bad. Let's do like a really light yellow. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So, and we're just kind of like painting them in, you know, like, and we're gonna do like a little half. And like I said, I don't want her blinging all over the place, but we can do like, we're at 50% right now for the brush. And like this is not as pronounced as that. And we can actually, once we've kind of like done all the little highlights, then we can actually go in and throw a grad through the whole thing to hopefully like tone it down just a little bit, which we'll probably end up doing. This stuff is especially tough because the vinyl doesn't really have like big swaths of color. So I kind of have to treat this like it's blacked in, even though it's not. Which is fine. We can get there. So like that's kind of where we want to end up. And then we can kind of take it and just color pick the same color and see how it looks when you just put it on normal. Kind of drag through. Yeah, so we're like dulling out the bottom stuff while we keep like the high stuff really high, which is kind of where we want to be. We're going to add a little shine to the thing too. Let's take a stark white and just a little bit of shine. All right. And we can take this, you know, vinyl's got a reflected light kind of component to it, so we can do the same thing that we did up here. Screen 50%, like maybe even 30%. No, that doesn't work down there, but we can do it up there. Yeah, so it's starting to look good. The only thing that I don't really like on it right now is it's tough to see this hand, and this is looking too angular. So let's soften this guy up. De Niro's settling in. I don't know if you can hear him moving around. Oh, we're on the screen layer. That's why it's not working. So I'm just kind of painting it in. Just trying to soften up everything going on over here. Yeah. So it looks a little softer, a little less like, you know, she's wearing like a polygoned cape or something. Looks a little less digital and more fabric-y, which is where we want to be. And let's actually kind of do the knuckles here so you can see her other hand, and that will like pop out. And let's do down here with her other gloved hand. And now I keep saying her, but I actually don't know if it's a girl or a guy or a creature or what. But in my mind, like I said, in my mind, Rook is a her. Maybe she is a her. I don't know. I had to read the script. Do they refer to her as her? I can't remember. Alright. So, that's looking good. We got it worked to a good place. There's these kind of like little embers that we gotta kind of take care of, but you know what, we can finish that up. We can when we add in. So like here's Jeremy's original line art. We're gonna add it in over the regular line art because we're gonna start to like mess with the background, and the background, like this looks terrible and this looks good. So let's give Jeremy the benefit of the doubt here. If people are watching this, he did this well. We didn't you know, we kind of monkeyed around with his line art a little bit. We are going to darken it up just a bit, but yeah. So obviously this is kind of like a, you know, the previous page was not like a lot of like sweeping imagery. It was just kind of very straightforward, but we have this like low shot for Rook. It's kind of her moment, so even though we're not going to really do it in other places, let's just kind of do like maybe a grad, maybe like an orange. We'll pull from the trees on the other page, you know, and it doesn't have to be crazy because we still want it to match up. And then we can kind of carve out some of the so Jeremy kind of put these like hatching like dark clouds in, but they're not like kind of fully realized, so we can kind of like take this regular color, like we're at 50%, maybe even 50% of that. Oh, it's screened, that's why. Yeah, so like this is like 50%, and we're just gonna like kind of go in and trace out the little stuff wherever we like overlap or we're too close to our original thing. We can kind of like go in and fix, but we're just very loosely kind of like going in right now. And like I said, when I started up the stream, I'm still kind of like trying to wrap my mind as to like how to handle this. He's done this before on pages where it's kind of like dark spots in the sky, but it's like not exactly dark, and this is, I'm still figuring out where, like, this is issue 4. I'm like maybe 100 pages in the can because at the end of issue 4, and because we'll go over on some of the issues over the 20 pages, and I still am trying to like figure out the best way to interact with this kind of art. But this for now is kind of where we're going to be at. Set it to normal and kind of like fill in the weirder spots. Try to get a little more careful. Anywhere it's like overlapped, keep it from making a line. And it's like a, you know, like I said, normally I would do like a very dramatic, very like insane freaking sky. Oop. Picking up some of the grad from the shine. But the realm is a very like it exists in this kind of dour, desaturated world. So as much as I want to do like freaking orange sky, like clouds part, and like you know, the moment doesn't really call for that, and the book doesn't really call for that either. So, and those are things to keep in mind, like when you're working on a book, like the narrative that you're trying to give the reader is important. It's important to make it the correct narrative, because if you blow out every page like that, then when like the real shit hits the fan, it's gonna look, you're gonna be like, oh well, I wish I didn't do that thing. So we've kind of like chunked it together so that it's like a little bit darker than the stuff around it, which I think works a little bit. Let's do like just a little bit. Yeah, I know I just said that I was like, I'm gonna, you know, I usually throw like an orange through the whole thing, and now I'm throwing an orange through the whole thing, but like I'm trying to keep it like pretty subdued. And we can make the bottom a little lighter, or even just like behind her a little lighter. Yeah, it's starting to work. Yeah, I think that's where we're gonna call it for the day. Rook's looking good. The whole panel's looking good. We're gonna add some texture in on the page, like at the very end. So this is not quite how it's gonna look when it hits print, but this is pretty close, and you know, it'll work for now. It'll work for the stream. I'm gonna finish up the rest of this page, and then once I do, I'll be posting it to spooky. I'll be posting it to The Wind is Howling, to Twitter and Instagram and everywhere, and you can check out the final product. And then, you know, I don't know if there's going to be corrections from there, so we'll see what happens. But until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks. And you know, I'm thinking about maybe doing some card games on stream. We'll see how it goes. Might do some of that tonight, maybe if things get done. I found that like for streaming, I'm in like a weird space where it's like, if I have time to do 4 pages, I'll do 4 pages. But if I don't have enough time to do 4 pages, like I have to finish early enough to warrant a stream and not do another page kind of thing. It's a weird thing, but yeah, we're figuring it out. We're figuring out how to get a regular stream in. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, and I will see you next time.